Good morning. Just finished working out and it's December, Christmas time, and a year that I would assume, at least kind of looking at people around me, friends or people in the gym, and also talking to other freelancers, the year hasn't been great. I would argue that for many people, 2025 was a rough year, especially also after coming from those hard years. I mean, it's already a couple of years back when we had COVID and the lockdown, but I still think we all can still feel is the word repercussions? I'm not sure. The following negative impact of those years, and this year with the economy and everything. I know so many freelancers that are not working at the moment. I also am still going through a legal battle that is not going the way I was hoping for. And for legal reasons, I cannot say a lot about this. Let's say it this way. It is, from a legal perspective, it is working my way, but from a practical standpoint, meaning me getting my money, it is not going the way it is. And for those of you bring you up to speed, this battle has caused me a lot of financial issues that I'm not as easily recovering from, just because I don't. Anyways, again, I cannot talk too much about it. So everything isn't going as well, and I feel like also with Christmas, I personally am not a big fan of Christmas because my family never celebrated Christmas, but I was always with other families and celebrating their Christmas because I was fortunate enough to be invited to their Christmas, but I always experienced their Christmas to be extremely stressful, and that kind of rubbed on me as well, and I don't kind of connect anything positive, well, not too much positive with Christmas. However, I think, and I try to make the realization, and I think it is harder to say than practically done. So I already know that some of you will think, oh, this is harder than said, and I acknowledge that because I'm having a difficult time to do this as well. But with these videos, again, I also talk a lot to myself and try to remind myself it is really important to kind of look at what you are having, and more importantly, compare yourself to your younger self. It is very easy to think stuff like, oh, okay, this year was so hard and I'm struggling so much, and yes, it is important to kind of evaluate that, but also to remind yourself, who are you now and who have you been a year ago? How much have you grown? How stronger you have become, kind of struggling through the things that you have been going through the year. And then also kind of look at what you have at the moment, because there's always this kind of thinking of kind of putting yourself down because you went through so much and you kind of feel sorry for yourself, which you are totally entitled to. And I'm not kind of neglecting the suffering that we all go through. And that is important, because I feel like sometimes when you talk to friends and they say something like, oh, you don't have it worse, and oh, they give you unsolicited advice, you kind of get this feeling of you're not allowed to feel bad, or you're not allowed to feel sad. You know what I mean? So I also want to emphasize it is totally okay to feel the way you're feeling, and that you feel shitty at the moment, and that everything is kind of sucks. But I think it's also kind of important to remind yourself again what you have. Also compare yourself to your younger self, because we are very likely to compare ourselves to other people around us and then feel kind of bad. For example, I have a buddy that goes on vacation like 3 times a year. And the last vacation that I had is almost 1.5 years ago, or even longer maybe. I don't know yet. A year ago, 1.5. It's a long time. And then we also kind of get overwhelmed by the year that is coming up, and we think about, oh no, how am I going to do this and stuff like that, that you get overwhelmed by all of these things. So I think it's important to, again, remind yourself of what you have, compare yourself to your younger self, because if I compare myself to my younger self, I can see everything that I went through and how strong and how developed I have become after all of these hardships, and now having the tools to deal with the stuff that I wasn't able to deal with when I was younger. And while that obviously doesn't solve my problems and doesn't solve me feeling sad or feeling bad or being frustrated, it gives you a little bit of power and a new perspective. And like I always say, it resets a little bit your brain and your perspective. Therefore, because your brain and your mindset is a little bit resetted, it shifts the perspective on what you have to go through at the moment. Again, I know from my personal experience, and I know from everyone I'm talking to, that life or this year hasn't been the easiest. But yeah, again, try to think about what you have at the moment, even if it's just a little bit, even if it's just a small piece of thing that makes you happy, like for me going to the gym or playing a couple of games, or whenever I have project. I'm in a very privileged, fortunate situation where I'm one of the few freelancers right now in the film industry that are working, and I'm very happy about that, because I know so many of my buddies that are not working and haven't been able to work for a couple of months. So I know that I am extremely thankful for this situation, and that makes me a little bit happier and relieved about the situation that I'm in. Again, it's not about kind of ignoring what you're going through. It's not about that your feelings and what you're going through isn't okay or isn't justified. Because again, I just know whenever I talk to other people, it's sometimes I personally get this feeling when they give me unsolicited advice or say something along the lines of, oh, okay, that's not too bad, think about this way and that way. I 8 out of 10 times, I feel like I'm not allowed to have those emotions. And more importantly, I feel like it's not a good position to kind of compare your emotions to a negative situation of someone else. You know, when people say like, oh, it's not that worse. Think about all of the people that have it even worse and they're living on the streets of whatever. I feel like really bad if that kind of sentence is in the room, because I don't want to compare my situation or make myself feel better by the misfortune of someone else. You know what I mean? So I really don't agree with that kind of way of helping someone else by saying, oh, someone else is doing worse, so you shouldn't complain. I feel like it feels really weird. But yeah, again, comparing yourself to your younger self is really helpful, and kind of acknowledging what you have at the moment. But again, it is hard. And yeah, if you have anything to kind of contribute about how you make yourself feel a little bit better in these kind of times, let me know in the comment section below. And yeah, maybe check out yesterday's video by clicking the button up here. YouTube thinks that you like the video down here. Don't forget to subscribe by clicking the button up here, and then we will see each other tomorrow. Thank you very much.